All right, so we are live. So welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, you've had a good week so far. It's Thursday, so we're like the premature Friday day. So I know for a lot of you that don't have class on Friday, this maybe is your Friday. Um, so either way, we've made it almost to the end of the week. So hopefully your weeks went well. Your classes are getting closer to final, so I'm sure things are getting a little bit hectic. So we definitely appreciate you taking the time to come out tonight, especially to our last company information session. So we've made sure to have a really great company come in. So it should be an awesome, action-packed session. So we've actually had this company come in for the longest time since I've been as program director from my start back in fall 2016, and even before that with Dr. Conley when she ran the group. But you probably haven't seen it in his name as Anthology, right? So they'll talk a little bit about some of the new name change and some of the things that have evolved from that point. But campus management was the former name that we pretty much know and love. So now we'll have to get used to this new version, but really at least we can feel assured that it's the same great company and the same great team that we were used to. So um, one specifically for Richie, he's actually an alum of our MIS program. So we have a lot of love for Richie because of all the really support he's given us throughout the years. I mean, between coming to present in classes, not just MISA, and being engaged in other things that we have with our advisory board and things. So we really appreciate that. And then Erna Dell's done a wonderful job, especially as of recent with our internships. She's had a couple students come in as interns, and she's allowed them to be able to get some experience. So we're very happy to have both of them. So with that, can we give a nice warm round of applause for Richie and Ernadell from Campus Management, now Anthology.
All right, thank you very much. So welcome to our company overview. So my name is Richie Rodriguez. I am our Chief Information Security Officer. So today with me I have Ernadell Cielson, who is our Director of our MIS team. So thanks all for joining today. I know you all are busy students, and the fact that you guys are joining meetings like this means you're kind of going above and beyond, which is always good to see. It's our fifth time around, our first time doing this virtually. We're going to go through a quick presentation just to get you acquainted with who we are, if you knew it, whether you knew us as campus management or not, and kind of what our background is. So we'll go through a little bit of our history, our foundation as a brand, and what differentiates us in our market, as well as some additional information like what is life like at Anthology. After we do our company overview, Ernadell will dive into what her team does for management information systems in all of our business applications. And then we'll have some time to go through our security program. So I will be back on for that. Like Jonathan mentioned, we have about an hour together, so we'll knock this out and then we'll leave lots of time to talk and answer questions. So jump to the next here. So who are we? We'll go through a bit of our history, brand foundation, differentiation. We are a pretty new company as Anthology. We just were formed about the middle of this year. So I think our public announcement was July the 7th of 2020. Prior to that, both Ernadell and I worked for the campus management organization. Anthology came from the merger of three companies, so Campus Labs, Campus Management, and iModules. So we have quite a few new coworkers, and hopefully we are better off for it. So really important, none of this was an acquisition. This is merging together the best of all three of us and all of our products that we use to serve the higher education market. So that is our focus area as a company. We help drive new innovation in higher education. And our motto, advancing knowledge, is something that we do both for our customers and for our own internal operations, which I know Ernadell is going to get into a bit later. The goal is to take all of our experience and not just bring better solutions to campuses, but to start a new conversation the way things are done in higher ed. So using a lot of data, which I know you guys focus a lot on in your program, to inform decision making in higher education, things like what programs to offer and how to better place students into careers, and kind of do that feedback cycle through the whole student life cycle and through our products. So we go from the admissions side all the way through to advancement and alumni management, and everywhere in between. So a bit of an overview, just who our leadership is. So all of these folks have varied backgrounds and knowledge they bring to their departments. They came from any of the three companies, whether it be Campus Labs, Campus Management, or iModules, and bring their own unique experiences and perspectives. So we have profiles on all these folks at anthologyinc.com. I probably should have mentioned at the beginning, I think I had our email up on the initial slide, so you'll still see at campusmgmt.com. We started our journey together as Anthology with anthologyinc.com, and just last week we finally got a hold of anthology.com from another company. So we'll be working on moving all of that over actually this weekend. It's one of our projects that's open right now. So our contact information will start changing, but all the old email addresses work as well. So we're not losing any of those. So you can jump on anthologyinc.com, take a look at our executive profiles, what their backgrounds are. It's good information to look at, and what their strategic plans look like. So our purpose is the main reason why we exist, which is to help higher education institutions thrive. So when the higher education institutions that our customers do better, obviously we do better. And our core tenets are in a couple of the next slides here. So our mission is how we reach our purpose, obviously, and it's all about connecting the entire campus through data. So we help customers see things they couldn't see before, use a lot of data to extract advantages in their markets, boost their strategies, and reach their full potential. Our vision is to see institutions take that potential and drive transformational change and create meaningful experiences for all. So our brand promise, which is pretty simple, we want our customers to know that they're getting the products and solutions that they need to help them reach their own unique goals. We have customers in a lot of different market segments. We have public and private institutions. We have career-focused institutions. We all three companies had their own focus areas in the past. And bringing all of that together, we've got a lot of different use cases to address in our products, and want to make sure that they're successful with those and that they expect us to be a good partner for them. So our brand attributes are kind of our external facing identity. Brand values are more of how we treat each other internally. The next couple of slides go through those, and this is really what our core values are that we recognize our employees for. The first one is respecting each other. So we find value in diversity and the talents that we all bring to the table, especially in a merger situation, a lot of different experience there, and always strive to bring out the best in each other. We always have each other's backs. As I can tell you from the last few months of working together as Anthology, we're really getting a lot better. We're working as across teams and just getting all together, jumping on a bridge like this and just knocking out a lot of work, which has really been awesome. And working with integrity to create a culture based on honesty, inclusion, and trust. Staying passionate is another value of ours. So we're driven and hungry. We want to make sure that this market is successful. We bring excitement to our jobs every day, enjoy tackling tough problems. Ernadal will definitely dive into quite a few of the ones we've dealt with recently. It's a lot of really great stories about how we've done some of this. And our collective passion for elevating higher education fuels us to innovate with an uncompromised focus. Curiosity. So we always try and keep learning. So we approach each day with curiosity, wonder, and so we can push ourselves to think and solve challenges in a limitless space. Our constant quest for knowledge continues to create forward momentum. I can tell you in the security space, we have a lot of interesting new challenges and a lot of things to learn there. We are doing a big move to being a cloud company. We started it as campus management. We're continuing it as Anthology, not just from our internal operations, but our products as well. We're serving up a lot of our services now from systems like Azure, working on closing down data centers, working on making offices really just spaces for people to collaborate, which has really changed a lot of how we have to approach our systems and our security. And collaboration, this is huge for us. And this year, 2020 has been a challenging year for collaboration. We've been happy to see a lot of platforms like this evolve and help us work together better, because it's really, truly important for all of us. As Anthology, we're now nearly 1,500 people across several countries. And so continuing to collaborate and share our knowledge with each other is really important. And then looking at our possibilities. So, what is our potential as a company? Where can we really combine solutions that used to be campus management or campus labs or iModules? Looking at that entire student life cycle, looking at the entire institution and seeing, what else can we present and help institutions use from a data standpoint to be successful. So I mentioned we're kind of all over the place now. We are now in UK, Brazil, US, and India, and we have partners in the Middle East and Portugal, a couple other countries as well, where we're selling into institutions. We have to deal with a lot of time zones. We have to deal with a lot of cultures, and that's been really great, really, really educational for us over the last couple of years. Our Boca Raton office is here in Boca Raton, so it's really close by the campus. That is our global headquarters. And if you haven't been there or driven by it before, it's right on the intersection of Yamato Road and Congress, so it's like 5 minutes away from our FAU Boca campus. A couple of years ago, we did do a company overview on site, and hopefully once things get a little bit better in the rest of the world, we'll be able to do that again. Institution-wise, we're even broader than that. Our customers span 30 countries now and 2,100 unique institutions. So lots of diverse international representation there. I just heard earlier this week that one of our next product releases on one of our CRMs, we're certifying against Spanish and French. So we're adding languages to our products, a lot of capabilities that our customers need to engage their students. All right, so we won't get into all of the products in this presentation since we're going to try and keep it quick, but like I said earlier, it's about advancing the whole campus through data insights and a connected ecosystem and communication, breaking down silos. So it's about trying to do a lot of the same thing that we're making sure we do for ourselves internally. We're allowing our customers to do and enabling them with systems that allow them to see across the institution and see, how does the whole student life cycle work and how can we do better at various phases to make the later phases of the student experience more successful for everybody. So lastly, before I hand it over to Ernadel, we do have a lot of new social media channels. Our marketing organization is actually one of the areas where I've been the most impressed. We've come a long way over the last 6 to 12 months with that. So please do follow us, Anthology Inc. on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And we do post a lot there. We keep up with where we are, what are we doing as a company, and where our focus areas. And so also good ways to find things like our blogs, white papers, podcasts, webinars, and a lot of other good higher education information. So with that, I will pass it over to Ernadel to talk about our internal management information systems organization. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you. All right, let me just get my screen shared. And can you guys see my screen by chance?
Yes.
All righty. So firstly, I'm really excited to be here, virtually here. Now I've got a big task in front of me because I've got to get you guys excited about management information systems, where all you guys are probably waiting for is Richie's security presentation, right? But there would be no security if there wasn't the other pieces associated with it. So when I think about management information systems, one of the things that I ask most of the candidates that interview for my team is, what do you consider to be your superpower, right? For management information systems, our superpower is that we change the way people work. The systems that we develop and implement, the processes that we put in place, the business processes that are defined, that changes in its entirety the way people work today. So I'm going to share a little bit about my awesome global team. Richie indicated that we have customers in over 30 countries, so it only makes sense that we're going to have people all over the world. But one of the reasons why I want to share with you the makeup of my team is to also call out the different skill sets within my group. So aside from myself, that's me right there. I do have a solution architect, system administrator. Now, although I call out these primary skill sets, a lot of my folks actually have skill sets that span across. So in my group, we don't only do one thing. We have an expertise, and then everybody has general skill sets across the other items. Venu is actually my technical lead, and he does field a lot of questions, provides technical support for other team members. I have a BI developer. I've got several .NET developers and system administrators. And I have a CRM developer. CRM is pretty big in the marketplace right now, and we actually have a CRM product ourselves. And then recently I added on a senior business analyst. Okay, and Richie and Jonathan also mentioned that we have had interns from FAU. I've had the pleasure of actually having several interns. The one more recently was Tyler Allen. And unfortunately, we stopped our internship program just because of COVID, and hopefully we pick that up pretty soon. And when that happens, I'm already in line for a couple of interns. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a super geek, probably, you know, I was a geek over Star Wars before Disney got its hands on it. This is actually who I think I am. I think I'm a really cool geek, but we always think we're a whole lot cooler than we actually are. I'm a native Californian, now a Floridian. I have over 17 years in information systems and product development. Some key projects that I've worked on across different companies throughout my career has been about a decade ago, we built the first centralized sex offender database that compiled data coming from all 50 states. This was not yet available to the consumer. This was actually only available to law enforcement. I was also part of a Homeland Security project that developed a system that actually scored vehicles coming through the borders, so that the Border Patrol person would have some sort of indication as to whether or not to stop the vehicle and or search it. And then a fun project with UPS that we've referred to as Operations Christmas. Believe it or not, UPS actually has many warehouses, huge warehouses that are almost as big as apartment complexes that house nothing but undelivered packages. So about 7 years ago, they made they underwent a program to try and deliver as many of those undeliverable packages, and some of them had been sitting there for 10 plus years. But it actually brought in really good PR for UPS, because imagine, you know, receiving a package, hopefully it's not food or anything like that, that you receive 5 years later. So, so that really brought in some pretty good PR for them. And then, of course, I have been part of many enterprise systems implementation. Going back to, again, what I just stated is that in management information systems, we do change the way people work. I'm real excited to be an anthologist. You know, I think that just that word has a lot of connotation on discovery. And I know that my coworkers and the people I work with are very passionate, and passion is contagious. And we're always constantly learning. Okay, so I want to talk through a little bit about what management information systems is comprised of. We talked about people, the operational aspect of it. How are you going to manage the project that you're actually delivering something to the business for? The requirements around it, the business analysis, actually eliciting those business requirements from people themselves, and in some instances, the system, the business process, systems analysis, the applications that we built more often spans across all of the technology tiers. So you've got UI, middleware, and database. So you've got to have some sort of knowledge as it pertains to that. And then, of course, the data. Some of the skill sets that we have in my team is that of a database administrator, data analyst, data architect, and BI developer, business intelligence developer, not only focusing on the actual visualization that the end user sees, but also how does the data need to be represented in the the logical and then physical structure within the database itself, so that you could visualize it in in a manner that the end user can consume. So all of that really is required to make management information systems work well. So often I refer to a unicorn skill set. And you do not find people with all of these combinations of skills. You find them when they've been in the industry for quite a while, and those skills are developed over time. But yes, unicorn skill sets do exist. So how are you going to apply what you've been learning, right, in college? I actually trolled the FAU website, the undergraduate program for management information systems, just to take a look at some of the courses that was listed there. And actually it falls right in line with what I was just saying, business data communications, advanced systems analysis design. You've got cybersecurity, which you will cover later, and then the social media aspect and the operations management piece. So everything that you are learning in college can be applied to real life occupations in the management information systems space. Okay, so I actually changed up my slides from last year. So if you were in this event last year, then you will see new things because I actually won't cover the same things that I did last year. This year, technology really shaped itself for us. It's no longer just the application that the end user consumes. We need to go beyond that. And then we also need to consider the devices that our end users are actually using to access certain things. So we're going to cover a project that actually has the virtual agent and bot framework associated with it. Everyone's into artificial intelligence nowadays, right? They may not know what it means, but you hear those words over and over again. We're also going to talk about data because without the data underneath it, there is nothing going above that. There is no information and there is no knowledge, and therefore there is no wisdom for any data-driven decisions to be made. And if you've got really good data, like Facebook has, right, then they know everything about you already. Okay. All right, so how I'll take you through this is I'll actually take you through what the business problem was, the definition of the business problem, and then not necessarily going through all of the design components, but pointing out some of the things that we took into consideration, and then what the actual end product of what was implemented ended up being. So one of the business problems that we were faced with is that our client services department takes in all of the support calls across all of our product lines. So it doesn't matter whether or not that customer came through one of our legacy sister companies now merged into Anthology Inc. It all filters into one place. So on an average day, they can get anywhere up to 500 to 600 support requests daily. 300 of that comes from this one application module that is used by students and professors directly at universities. So these 300 support requests, whether it be a question or an issue that they are reporting, they actually access support via a web form that is linked from the product. And they fill out the web form, which then creates a ticket in our support system. And it takes anywhere for 24 hours or greater, depending upon the volume that our client services team has for the agent to actually respond. So the business objective, obviously, is let's reduce the incoming support requests, especially knowing that these 300 support requests aren't that heavy, meaning that there are immediate answers to it and there are known solutions. One of their objectives was that we don't want the agent to ever touch it because we want them to focus on the heavy lifting on the issues that really need a lot of time. And we want to enhance the overall customer end user experience. If we're able to solve or answer their question or solve their issue immediately, then they're happier at the end of the day. All right, so immediately, just at a 10,000 foot view, we knew we weren't going to stand up an FAQ page. I mean, who does that nowadays, right? That's like so 2000s or something like that. And we like to play with new things too. But anyhow, so we knew we wanted some sort of chat functionality. And because we're a Microsoft shop, we dove down the avenue of taking a look at the capabilities within the Azure bot framework within Microsoft. And it did meet the framework that we were looking to work within. It's got the capability of connecting a web service. It's got the cognitive artificial intelligence pieces of it, the natural language, the translation, and then also the capability of physical knowledge content storage. And then it also has the ability to actually launch from varying different types of channels. Because in today's world, our customer does not reach out to us in just one way. They have various channels to reach out to us. Now, in this particular situation, we are not ready for them to reach out to us via Facebook or some of the other social media platforms. The method by which they will come through will be a custom website that is linked from the need help link from the product. But for the most part, we knew that this was the route that we were going to go. So, the work around designing the solution. Now, mind you, all of this from concept, hey, I need XYZ, to actually production rollout is really just a 4-week period. So a lot of technology has advanced in addition to the agileness of your team really allows for a delivery within a 4 to 6 week period of a usable, a tangible product. We knew we had to perform quite a bit of data analysis, right? Because in order to train the bot, feed the bot information, we needed to understand what are the patterns of issues and questions being asked from the end users. What type of phrases are they using? Because humans don't speak like someone that's edited an article for grammar, et cetera, right? They speak much differently. And then ultimately, what are we going to do to exit the user from a conversation so that if all else fails, they're able to still request help? You need to know your audience, right? We knew that the demographic of our audience, the people submitting these issues and questions, were students and professors all over the world. So the solution had to be available 24/7. And knowing that this was being accessed by students, we needed to make it really mobile friendly and also have a responsive design. So it doesn't matter what device they're using to access this app. Of course, you will always take a look at the system resource requirements. And with any solution that we implement, we always look at the security framework. What are the security requirements around the solution that we're implementing, right? In our case, we're dealing with knowledge that is going to be fed to the end user. What are some of the sensitive pieces of data that has to be protected in those things? In addition to what different business users on our side need to be able to access the application that feeds the knowledge base that the bot consumes, because at the end of the day, my team is not going to maintain the actual content, right? My team goes off and I try to focus us on the newest, greatest, and latest to keep us moving and implementing new business solutions. And much of the governance around the actual content of the data itself really falls on the individual business units. So one of the things that we really needed to look at is how do we get the business to actually own the content of the knowledge base. To do that, we obviously needed to carve out some roles that they could that could be assigned to them so that they could do these things within the system itself. And our business users today actually are able to train the bot. When I say train the bot, so over time, your bot just like Alexa, most of you are very familiar with Alexa, and often they say, well, you can train Alexa on this, right? That's just feeding more data into the system so that your bot increases its knowledge on how to respond to certain patterns. Okay, so what did the end result look like? So the end result was basically a chatbot. And this is an example of someone saying help with browser and the response coming through. It's a responsive design that actually adjusts itself within the width of the screen that it's working from. And this is a mobile view of that actual app. Now that's, everybody looks at that and one of the things that I always say is simple is probably the best solution. Keep it simple. When somebody sees something really simple to use, they forget the complexity underneath it, because the more simpler it looks, the more well-designed it was actually underneath. So at the end of the day, the biggest components through this at the highest level is the user input coming through a channel, which we decided to be a website, basically a page on a website where the bot service actually resides, that then calls the cognitive service, the bot intelligence, that comprises of multiple varying intelligence levels, and then its answer then gets returned back up to the user interface. So, okay, great. We built the application. Our end users are now able to get instant answers to their questions. How do we present information back to our business users so that they know how well their knowledge base is doing, right? Because new questions will come up. And instead of having them go and mine the support system where the support issues are coming from, we built them an actual dashboard. And this picture actually represents, based upon a period of time they select, what the average score of the questions to answers were. And then this is actually a very interactive dashboard. And when they click into any one of the tiles to get detailed information, it actually exposes the details of what that represents. Now, 3.18%, the highest average score, obviously, if you get to 99, anything 80% and above, you're doing great. I mean, nothing is ever going to come to you from a support request ticket perspective, because all of it is being fronted by your chatbot. But this is just a start. This is actually only a month old. We put this in production about 6-7 weeks ago. And they started off with less than 1% average score. Now they're at 3.18. So, that's progress. Okay. And you're going to hear me say knowledge equals wisdom, right? Because this is one way of taking that data, turning it into information that can be consumed easily so that it converts itself into knowledge, and then eventually you gain wisdom from it. Okay, there's my pyramid. I actually think I said that a little too soon. So every application is going to have data, right? So data can be the raw form of it. It can even be standardized data, but just because you have standardized data doesn't mean that it really is telling you anything. Once your users start consuming it, then it actually does convert itself into information. Once they understand what that information actually represents, it becomes knowledge. And then from there, you can actually convert that knowledge that they now understand to them asking additional questions, but by just looking at that information and being able to glean what the potential answer should be and is not. So that's what, in its simplest term, that really is what data-driven decisions are all about. Oops. Again, knowledge equals wisdom. Okay, going on to our next scenario. So these are two small sentences, and they actually are huge projects at the end of the day. So we are 3 companies merging into one as Anthology Inc. All 3 companies have different systems, different processes. Merging is what, 2 syllables, but the actual work and design of pulling all of that together is immense. So I'm actually just going to take a very small piece of what we did for to start the merging of these information systems. So specifically, I'm going to address a business need with product development. So software is our product. That's our lifeline. We build we develop software applications, we develop software products that our customers can use. And if anywhere in our process or our what do you call it? Our overall end-to-end process, if any piece of that is actually having trouble, then we end up delaying the delivery of that product, feature, etc. Right? So one of the things that we were faced with is that from the merger of these three companies, there are multiple systems being used to support the external customer. In our own world, in our legacy campus management world, we had what was called Service Desk. And then from the other two companies, they had a system called Zendesk. And our product development department wanted to see the full picture of, I don't care where the user is reporting their issue. I want to know what I have to work on because I only have so many resources and I need to prioritize and I need to know which customers it's most impacting, right? Because we do have customers that have more than one products. So too early in everything that we're doing to actually pick up all the users from Zendesk and move them into another system, because our target system is actually at the end of the day going to be completely different. So we knew we had to build an integration. Building that integration requires, understanding the intended to be application lifecycle system with the inclusion of these other companies coming into it, what business processes, if any, change. We already had an existing integration that we could leverage, however, pointing to a completely different source system. And it's that the integration was never built to actually work against a different source system. And then trying to build something that's not just for the short term, but can actually last as a long-term strategy. Again, need to take a look at system resource requirements. All of these systems are cloud-based, and any system that is cloud-based will have a limitation on any third-party application accessing it, because one of the things that those cloud providers will be looking at is performance, right? They don't want 1,000 requests coming in within milliseconds that brings down the performance of the application. And also what we were looking at was a real-time bi-directional integration. And of course, security, right? There's going to be different methods of accessing the data. What are the levels of security are application users required, and how is the authentication from the third-party integration going to be to those source systems? So big things to have to think about and design on. Because we developed an integration, there's actually no UI that I can show you for it. However, I can walk you through what the workflow really looked like. So you've got the different layers of the entire solution, which is the data layer, the middleware, and application. So we leveraged the use of Azure databases, which are basically databases that are in the cloud. And Azure is a Microsoft platform. We leveraged the Azure databases so that we could store the messages coming out of the source systems, Zendesk and Azure DevOps, so that we had what I call restartability. So a lot of the cloud systems today, the modern cloud systems today, have what's called webhooks. And all webhooks are the ability to post a message being content coming from that source system that has been triggered by some sort of update in the system itself in a specific format, in this case, JSON. So those webhooks post JSON responses that are messages that gets picked up by a custom app that we wrote. I call them webhook receivers, and then store them into the Azure database. And this is how we keep track of which messages we've processed, which messages have failed. And then in the event that any one of the pieces throughout the entire process fails, we have restartability and we can resend all of the messages again. So we not only do it one way, coming from the support system, going into the Azure DevOps product development application lifecycle system, but we also bring in the updates coming from Azure DevOps, going all the way back to Zendesk. So this in itself was 2 weeks to include training the end users that were filling out the record in order to in order for the system to initiate the webhook that sends the message that gets picked up by our webhooks. We also leveraged the individual systems APIs to pull in attachments to send to and from. Okay, so part of that was the integration itself working. And then also the data underneath it, and how do we bubble it up? We actually use Power BI extensively in our organization. It's come a long way. It's very interactive. When you produce KPIs or a dashboard for any group, right, it should mean something to you. If I'm looking at something that's green versus yellow, that green better mean something by just me looking at it. And if that yellow shouldn't be that big, or if that green should not be that big, I should know it immediately. Okay, that's true consumption of data. And visualization of information is that important, so that you don't have to actually see the underlying details to know that it's right or it's wrong. So that's when you actually know you're producing a good visualization. I don't think I can say that. Visualization is when your end users actually derive, information from it that doesn't have to be presented in rows and rows and rows of detail. So this is actually just one of the many dashboards that's built out of the Azure DevOps application lifecycle system that we integrated to in the previous scenario. And again, I'm going to keep plugging this: knowledge equals wisdom. Okay, I actually just grabbed this also from the FAU Management Information Systems page. So what can you do with your degree in MIS? So as you saw through some of the examples that I actually walked through, different skill sets were leveraged in producing the overall solution. Coming from this information actually comes from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. And when I looked at it, this is a little bit old because this is going from 2014 to 2024. I actually think that the occupation percentages for information security analysts and computer and information systems managers are probably much greater in percentage than the other two, because our technology has grown so much that your business user is now a lot more savvy in how they use the system, and technology itself has advanced so that there's a lot of what's called low code applications that an end user can actually build workflows themselves just via a really good UI without having to write one piece of code. So you really need more general skill sets that actually understand the entire technology, all of the technology pieces. And I think this lady said it herself, what can you do with a degree in MIS? For all you cats and kittens, anything. Unicorn skill sets do exist. I think of myself as a unicorn, and that's just simply because I've developed the skill sets to round myself out for what's required in management information systems throughout the years. Alrighty, and I think that's it. Back to you, Richie.
All right, so let me get shared again here. And share. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Looks good.
All right.
Yes.
So we'll bring it home here. So again, I am back, Richie Rodriguez. So I've been with Anthology for a total of, campus management and Anthology combined, it's a total of 21 years now, believe it or not. So as our Chief Information Security Officer, my job is to run our security program and protect all the data. Yes, Ernadell is correct. If it wasn't for the data, we'd have nothing to protect. So that's why we wanted to really focus in on that. I've been full-time in a security role for the last little over 3 years now. Prior to that, I managed our IT operations and worked with Underdog a lot closer on her products in the early phases, and didn't just bug her about security issues. So different relationship, but still very important working relationship between us. Also, I've worked with our cloud team on running some of the solutions that our customers use. So just want to talk a little bit about career path. Actually, in the wrong place to change my slides. Give me 1 second. There we go. So I started out a long time ago as a customer support analyst, moved into data conversion. So kind of early on got into the data side of things, helping customers move into our systems. Then kind of dabbled in networking, and we're joking before the call started about the early days of the internet. This is back in like the early 2000s. And then made the jump into management in IT. And then as the company kept growing and evolving, we needed a security function. So I took that on as well. And then it got really big. And then I had to do it as a full-time job because I couldn't balance all of it anymore, and we needed somebody to focus. So what I wanted to really point out here is I did not start as CISO. I started as customer support and just started getting familiar with our market and our products. So your job, I think, is really just get in somewhere, show what you can do, and start taking on work that is available. There's always work running around in the company. Somebody's willing to give it to you, and that's kind of how I always move through the company, was just looking for opportunities where I could be helpful and learn and keep building my skill set. So what do we do for our security program? We look at security and compliance is what we say. So there's two different things, but they kind of feed each other. Day-to-day security, we look at our security architecture of our products and our internal solutions, make sure that we don't have vulnerabilities. So we test a lot, engage in penetration testing. So if you don't know the difference between vulnerability and penetration testing, vulnerability testing is looking for holes in the system. Penetration testing is trying to actually use them to extract data that you shouldn't be able to get to. So actually attacking the systems. Sometimes we do that in-house. Sometimes we do that with third parties that help us with that. And so we coordinate that with our developers and our internal operations teams. Internal audit is looking at our own internal processes and making sure that we're aligned to our standards. And then security incident response is usually the bad day when something happens and we got to go address it. But really the most important thing there is addressing it properly, addressing it thoroughly, doing lessons learned, making sure that you do better the next time and keep improving over time. So the objective of that whole security side is confidentiality, integrity, availability. If you guys have done information security assurance, you guys know those very well. That is what we're doing when we do those things at the top left. Then there's compliance. Compliance is what our customers look at. It's what they look at when they're trying to shop and look for solutions to solve their problems. Do we have certifications? Do we have a management system in place? Working with our legal team to make sure that the contracts say what they want and make sure that we actually do all those things, and help answer questions about security. There's lots of questions in RFPs. So an RFP is a request for proposal. It's what happens when a customer, prospective customer, wants a solution for a particular problem. They say, here's our problem, what can you do? And we go respond to that and propose our solutions and answer questions about security along the way. So the objective here is customer confidence. They're trusting us as a cloud provider with their data on all their students. And at the end of the day, if there's an issue, they're the one whose name is going to be in the news, probably right alongside ours. So my job is to keep us out of that problem. You guys have also probably dabbled a little in ISO 27001. That is our security management system framework. So that's what we built our security program around. So you'll probably recognize a lot of these areas. We address all of these different controls across our products and across our internal operations. So this is really where we get into internal audit and making sure that we have all of this in place and that we actually can prove it in an external audit. So as I mentioned, we're a cloud company. We have the majority of our customers in the cloud. So not only are we a cloud provider, but we use cloud providers to deliver our services, and we have to manage them as well. We have the international aspect. Obviously, we're not going to go out and build data centers in every country that we need to serve. That is the way things were done 15, 20 years ago is very expensive, and the cloud has changed that, and it's allowed us to spread really quickly and provide good uptimes and performance to all of our customers everywhere. From a security standpoint, we also adopt the cloud. So we use Microsoft heavily, as Ernadel mentioned. We monitor heavily. We do a lot of alerting. Ernadel mentioned artificial intelligence, and we can't look at all the logs all the time. There's just too much traffic. We need something to help us weed through all that, know who the bad guys are, know what the patterns of attack are. And our chief architect actually uses a phrase. He says, we stand on the shoulders of giants. So we don't build all this stuff, but we adopt it and we make sure that we use it efficiently. And we talk to Microsoft a lot to make sure that we're getting the value out of those systems. And ultimately, we're serving what we need to do for our customers. So a little bit more career advice. How do I get started in a job in security? This is from ISSA, which is the Information Systems Security Association. I'm actually the vice president of our local South Florida chapter. And this is how ISSA looks at the career life cycle. So if you kind of start from the blue section, a pre-professional, if you're a traditional student and you're just out of high school, this is probably where you're at. Your job in getting into security is just get involved. It's show up to meetings, it's show up to events, get into the networking side of things and learn who people are in the industry and what they do and what people who are doing the job every day do. We in the ISSA chapter run a hackathon every year, which is a capture the flag event. There are many of those every year, especially now. I mean, one of the best things I think to come out of the pandemic is everybody's doing all their events virtually, which means you can now attend the Denver Security Conference without flying to Denver, and they have a really awesome security conference every year, and the Atlanta conference and so on. So there's nothing but events out there that are online, easily accessible. Many of them have gone to free. They're sponsored events, and the sponsors pay for it, and you just have to show up. So do that. That is the most important thing you can do at this phase in your career. Find people to connect with and just start talking and asking questions. And many of them, including myself, are very happy to help with that. And I have my contact info at the end. As you move a little further into your career, if you're in the stage where you've had a few internships, you've had a couple of jobs, you want to become an ISSA member, you want to be getting more involved with your chapter, volunteer for an event, help run the event, and you'll meet even more people that way. Subscribe to their webcasts and their journals and start learning what's going on in the rest of the world. There's a lot of employment opportunities and jobs that are posted on their forums as well. Special interest groups, which are SIGs, that's how you get involved in a particular area. So if you're interested in healthcare, if you're interested in higher ed, if you're interested in like national infrastructure, highways or the power grid, there are SIGs for all of that in ISSA. So just get involved. I got a link there at the bottom. I can put it in the chat as well at the end here if you want to learn a little bit more about that. And then for the local chapter here in South Florida, as I mentioned, we have quite a few events. These are pictures from a few of our meetings and hackathons in the past. Our website is up there, sfissa.org. If you look on Meetup and look for South Florida ISSA, you'll find all of our events as well. We have a monthly chapter meeting, which has gone virtual just like everybody else's, and we do a good virtual happy hour at the end and just all hang out and talk about what's going on in the world. So it's been really cool for us, actually. So I will jump off of the slides here and open it up for questions. And this is all of our contact information. Like I mentioned, we're campusmgmt.com. We're going to be changing, but those will all continue to work. So do reach out if you think of anything after this. So Jonathan, we'll go to questions. You're on mute.